Oh, Wildman! Wildman?
Hola, Papi!
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing very good, very good.
So a topic Papi and the Wildman are going to discuss today is not necessarily alter egos. Like, did you ever see the show Breaking Bad? Of course you did, because we watched it together.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you know how Walter White has a nefarious double life and he's Heisenberg?
Yes, yep.
I think both you and I are honest and transparent, but I think what I'm trying to say is, did you ever watch professional wrestling? And I know, of course, you did. But like Paul Heyman, when he managed Brock Lesnar, he also managed CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
And CM Punk and Brock Lesnar had no association on screen.
No.
So, you know, obviously when they performed at WrestleMania, you know, Brock Lesnar was wrestling Triple H. And then it's like, all right, that character's done and over with. Now it's the alternate version of Paul Heyman, and he's wrestling, you know, Undertaker with the urn. And I guess what I want to say is, you know, when I'm associating with my art class friends, and even you, people will ask me questions, and I'm like, yeah, although, you know, obviously asking questions about my mother, asking questions about my family, asking questions about fighting with my stepfather are, you know, obviously not really appropriate when I'm the art class friend version of Andrew Koloski. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, yep.
So do you, like when you interact with Mom, are you very different than when you interact with my friends?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think I remain the same. I mean, well, you know, in regards to conversation and such, there may be things I talk to Ma about that your friends would have no interest in. So, you know, so maybe your friends, let's say I talk politics to Ma.
Yeah.
And then when I talk to your friends, it's like, okay, I really don't want to talk politics with them. And so maybe they think, oh, he doesn't like politics. I mean, that's just an example of how people get some type of view of you that they don't get the whole picture.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, for example, when I'm interacting with my art class friends, people will ask me questions pertaining to my mother, and I'm like, yeah, this is like alternate Andrew, you know, don't ask questions about my mother when I'm interacting with my art class friends. You know, I mean, although you know, when I'm alone or when I'm around my mother, that would be an appropriate question.
Yeah. You know what, but I think everybody, I think that happens to everybody. Just off the top of my head, Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper came to mind. You know, you think of Alice Cooper as a flamboyant actor, performer, singer on stage, and you know your reaction to him is, wow. I mean, this guy is over the top. But I mean, off stage, I know that he's a family man. He's very religious, and he also is a he borders on a professional golfer. He's you know, he loves golfing.
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, Alice Cooper is very different when he interacts with his family and, hypothetically speaking, mother. I don't know if he has his mother. I mean, I'm assuming his mother probably has passed away. Who knows? But, you know, than he is when he's interacting with his rock mates, you know?
Sure, yep.
And, you know, so asking, like, oh, you know, Alice Cooper, a family-related question when he's partying with the boys, so to speak, would just be very inappropriate.
I think what you have to also do...
Oh, speaking of which, do you hear the train whistle in the distance?
Yeah.
That reminds me of Pet Sounds and the Beach Boys. Does that remind you of that too?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, you hear train whistles and it's very... Yeah, it reminds me of the ending to Caroline No, you know?
Exactly, when they do the train. But you know what? Not to change the subject of trains, but getting back to the subject we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think what you have to also do, you know, like you mentioned Alice Cooper was different with his band and with his family. You have to look at the situation you're in. And you got to analyze the situation. Like I said, you know, if if I met your friends
Yeah.
and I start talking about like politics and such, it's not kind of like the appropriate.
It's not an appropriate question. Asking a rock star about his rock star life when he's hanging out with his mother is just not an appropriate time or place to ask that particular question.
Correct.
And that is what it is.